Hey YouTube, so this is the third part of the Dickey Bell Trail. We just did Little Daniel. I did speed up the video significantly. There's about an hour of footage to go over the last part of this trail, and I felt that like it just really needed to be sped up because it was so like slow, so to speak, but I did think that somebody might want to actually see what Dickey Bell looked like and decide if they wanted to travel all the way to North Carolina from wherever they were to get the badge. Like I said, the last section of footage that we did on the previous video, the Little Daniel, is really the most challenging spot on the trail. It's the most interesting spot on the trail. The rest of this trail, like, literally looks like 99% of the rest of the park outside of Daniel. It's mostly just like kind of like up and down in the mud. The most interesting trails here is obviously going to be Dickey Bell, that little section that we just did that's called Little Daniel. The Daniel Trail itself is very interesting, but it also can become very challenging very fast. And the last thing is a cattle chute, which is a section of Dutch John that has these like large cliff walls on the side. And, there's going to be quite a bit of footage of that later on that you'll see that we'll post. So this is and believe it or not, like this is the third time that I've been to Uwharrie, and this is the first time we've ever done this part of Dickey Bell. The last two times, like literally both groups that I went with, went up to Dickey Bell. They went up to the top of Little Daniel, and then they just made a U-turn and went right back down. And nobody wanted to do like the 1 hour of driving up here. So anyway, so this is what it looks like. Like I was saying, in some places there are small little obstacles on the side of the trail that you can take, and I'm not seeing one right now, but we'll probably see one at some point. And this is during Thanksgiving. I believe this is actually on the day of Thanksgiving, because this is the first day that we were there, and the first day was Thanksgiving. And then we actually had Thanksgiving dinner on Black Friday. We did have ham and everything on Thanksgiving because we brought ham over and mashed potatoes and some different things. But our actual Thanksgiving dinner that we celebrated was actually on Black Friday because we thought it would make more sense to do it on Friday. So you can see up there Eddie had to do a little bit of spotting on one of the stock sheeps up there. So obviously there are some obstacles on this trail. It's not just like a gravel road. But like I was saying, the most interesting area is back at Little Daniel. And this is a badge of honor trail, and what that means is basically Jeep gives out a badge for completing this trail. And the badges are, you can look them up on the internet. They're about 2 inches wide and maybe about 1 inch tall. And they're these small little silver, I think they're black now, but they're these small little badges that go on the side of the Jeep. I have a whole stack of them that are silver. I don't think I've ever received a black one yet. They just changed the color of them just recently. And so this is a good example. You can go to the left here, and obviously you can just completely go around the obstacle. Or you can go to the right, and if you go to the right, you can go over the obstacle. So it is perfectly normal for those of you who've not gone out in Jeeps for them to stop frequently like this. And some clubs, like in groups that go out, they stop more frequently than other groups. It just like all depends on the group that you're with and how frequently they stop. And usually how many kids are in the car and how often you have to stop so people can get out and go to the bathroom or get something out or whatever that they need. In this particular case, I believe we are letting the little side-by-side get through because obviously they're between us and they were kind of stuck behind us. So that's like kind of a courtesy thing. We knew that there was a spot up here where they could get around us, and so we just sent them around us. And the driver of that side-by-side that just went by, believe it or not, he was like really, really old. I'm pretty old, but he was like white-haired, kind of like Santa Claus, sort of, I thought, with Mrs. Claus, like going around on their little side-by-side. That's one thing that's a little bit different from what I can tell with Jeeps and ATVs and UTVs, and I'm not really sure why it's like this. But it's really, really common to see Jeeps go out in large groups. I mean, It's actually kind of rare to see a Jeep go out by itself, and it seems pretty rare to just see like 2 Jeeps. I mean, you see that sometimes, but you most usually see Jeeps like out like in these large packs of like 5 to 20, 25 Jeeps like in a group, which is really kind of obsessive. Like if it's like or obscene if it's like that big of a group. I think the more frequently than not, it's more like 5 to 15. I think is more like the range that I see. But you usually see Jeeps out in large packs, and then the ATVs and the UTVs, you almost traditionally see them by themselves. And I'm not really 100% sure why you see the ATVs and the UTVs typically out with themselves, or if they are with somebody else, they're just like with one other person. You don't usually see like a flock of them. I mean, occasionally you do, like at AOA. I mean, occasionally you'll see a group of like 8 or 9 of them. You'll see like 2 parents and their kids or something like that. But it just seems like a lot of the ATVs and UTV riders are more like lone wolves or whatever out here. And I don't actually know if that's like safe or not. Like if that's like an okay thing. I mean, because it seems like they could just as easily have a mechanical problem. But at the same time, I kind of get the feeling that I think that the ATVs and the UTVs don't do as crazy as obstacles. I mean, I totally know they do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I've seen them go through like water that was like deeper than the ATV, where they had to jump out and like walk with their rig or whatever. And I've seen them go through like crazy mud pits and stuff. But I don't feel that like they have a tendency of going over like large boulders that like can flip them over really easily. And if they do something like really kind of stupid, they're doing it in front of like somebody else, like another ATV rider or something like that. So it just kind of like a different thing, because you saw that like he was all by himself. I mean, he had his wife with him, like in the vehicle with him, but at the same time, there wasn't like a second side by side with him or anything. And when we get down to the Dutch John parking lot, I actually kind of saw him down there. He was loading his vehicle like onto the truck. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to people about that to try to figure out like why ATVs and UTVs go out by themselves, but Jeeps always go down in packs. I mean, they're much narrower, so like they have much more options like on the trail, like to be able to like navigate around, because they're like literally most of them are about half the width of a Jeep. Especially if you start talking about like ATVs, like they are really ultra like narrow in comparison. And so this is, like I was saying, the Badge of Honor Trail. And the Badge of Honor Trails do not necessarily have to be the hardest trail in the park. The Badge of Honor Trails are more about character. And this trail, I guess, is like supposedly like the essence of Uwharrie National Park. And I believe that this is like the only Badge of Honor Trail anywhere near this. There's 3 Badge of Honor Trails over in Winrock, which is in Tennessee. And then there are a couple up at Roush Creek, up in Pennsylvania. And then they just recently put one in Virginia, Peters Mill, which, like, that's literally like a gravel road. I don't even know how Peters Mill got to become a Badge of Honor, because I don't really see how it has any type of character at all, other than the fact that it's like a trail in Virginia, and they're trying to kind of get enough trails regionally that people can access them. I totally get, like, it's not supposed to be the hardest trail in the world. But the Peters Mill Trail to me just has like 0 character at all. It's actually one of the only badges I don't have, believe it or not. I've done Peters Mill, I did it one time before it was a Badge of Honor, and I just have never gone back over there to just collect my badge or whatever. Maybe the next time I drive through that area, I'll like pull over and try to see if I can request a badge. You have to, like, so, like, all the trails are boxed with GPS, and you have to be within, like, say, 10 miles of the trailhead to get credit for the trail, like, if you try to, like, tell them that you did it or whatever. And it's like an honor system on getting these badges. They don't actually track whether or not you actually did the trail, or whether or not you did bypasses on the trail, or whether or not you just went to the parking lot and signed in and said that you did it. It's just honor, and you put the badge on the side of your vehicle, and maybe you feel bad if you didn't do the trail, but you put the sticker on the side. you know, because it's meant to be like a little fun little thing, like kind of like, I guess, Boy Scouts and Brownies, like getting their pins and stuff. Like, it's not fun to like cheat or whatever, cheat the system, and you know, have things that you know you don't deserve. So this is coming near the end of the Dickey Bell Trail, and like I was saying, like the footage that you've seen in this video is pretty close to the footage that you're gonna see when we do like Dutch John outside of like the Cattle Chute or Rocky Mountain Loop or any of the other easier trails. This footage here, to me, looks dead up like most of the trails. And as you can see, this was about an hour travel to go through this, where the other part of Dickey Bell that we did was maybe like 10 minutes, and then you got up to the Little Daniel section, and then everybody does that, and they turn around, they take the 10 minutes to get out of there and to go up to Daniel or Cattle Chute or somewhere else. So thank you, and please subscribe.